Our anniversary episode is just a couple of episodes away.
Woo woo!
These come so fast. We just churn out the years.
Well, you know,
these
as you
days.
get older, Kenny, the years go by faster. That's what they say.
I know, which is why every year feels like a second and a half to
And
me.
for Kenny, the years have been going really fast for a very long time.
They've been flying by.
That joke is never going to get old.
On episode 400, but Kenny will, on episode 450, we will be celebrating our 9th year as a podcast, and we want to invite you to be a part. Just like last year, you can call in, you can make your pitch on what game you would like us to play, and there are some restrictions for that. We're actually going to release and reveal a topic in our Discord this week that you can start brainstorming over. You make your pitch based on how good the pitch is. You will get 1, 2, or 3 entries into the randomizer, and there will be a very small group of games that we then randomly select from to start our 10th year as a podcast.
Oh, we got to do something even bigger.
Oh, big.
Huh.
Oh, for 10, we're gonna like give away a car or something.
There are only 20 of you that can be a part of this. We are limiting this. Last year we had to say 25. It was still a long episode. This year it's 20 only. So this week in our Discord, we are going to give all of the information at the start of this week. So stay tuned. We'll make it an announcement. We'll tag everybody. And then the first 20 to sign up for a slot to record on Saturday, October 26th. Saturday, October 26th, the morning of Saturday, October 26th, the first 20 to sign up will be a part of that very special 9th anniversary episode.
Discord.gg/newgameplus.
Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where 3 guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Nolan here.
And this is episode 448. The question of the week is, what do you consider to be a sin of game design?
Unpardonable, this one.
I feel like you have a list, Nolan.
Who doesn't? I think modern gaming's a sham. I think that most giant companies, like Blizzard and EA and all them, are
Hey, don't name
evil. And I think the employees are also evil.
Well, we're never getting sponsored.
And I don't want to get sponsored by them. I'd rather die. So one big sin for me, there's, like you said, there's so many. But one of them is this. I'm going to use examples and I'm going to name names. Blizzard makes Diablo 4. Okay. So.
That's the sin?
No, the sin is that they wanted like $90 for it to play the game 4 days before release. That's ridiculous. Just wait.
Evil.
Secondly, they follow it up with 2 years later, not even, with an expansion, which for those that don't know, for Diablo, an expansion means basically a second game. Diablo 2 had Lord of Destruction, which was an overhaul completely of the game and changed it fundamentally. They did that for Diablo 4 because it sucked so bad. With this recent one that just came out, Vessel of Poo Poo or whatever, and they want $50 more for the DLC, for the expansion. 50 more. Full price game twice for the most garbage game you've ever played in your life. I hate that company, and they need to quit developing that game and give up. It sucks. It's never going to be good. PoE 2 is going to destroy it and make it irrelevant. So that's like asking people to pay $70, $90 actually, following it up with $50 a couple years later is so stupid. Like, your game needs to be good if you want to do that. Anyways.
We need an incoming rant audio before Nolan begins these things.
Just put the snake, the Metal Gear Solid, like, exclamation noise before.
A little disclaimer, like Nolan speaking for himself, not officially
for all gamers.
On behalf of the podcast.
Yeah.
So if we're boiling that down, what is it? Expansions that
greedy
are
developers.
Well, sure, greedy developers. That is a sin of game design for
sure.
Sure.
Overcharging of not even mediocrity, complete trash. Like overcharging of your customer and not respecting them enough to actually make the game good.
Kenny, do you have something lighter for us?
I do.
I got another one.
Mine is maybe more like meta and a little bit of a vague answer. Maybe it's even a cop-out, but no one's surprised by that.
Wow.
Here's what I'll say. It is a sin of game design when games squander their potential.
Can I just say that I hate you real quick? I just want.
Mean?
Well, I don't hate you. I love you. I hate some of the decisions that you make. What answer is that?
Consider me a game designer.
I hope you have an
It's a great answer.
When games don't live up to their potential?
Yes, there's so many games. So many games that the answer to what is wrong with their game is like right there. It is low-hanging fruit. It is so obvious. The game could be 8 to 10 times better with like 3 simple changes. And just do obvious things. Just do the obvious thing that this game needs. But of course, by the point that the game is having that problem and I'm yelling at it, the game's already been made and it's out there and no one's asking me, and it's just me yelling into the void about why their game is wrong. And I guess that happens when you get old. It's old man yelling at the clouds, but the clouds are game designers.
You went existential.
That's it. I did.
I mean,
just be better is my answer.
When the game's, but like that just means the game came out and it was bad. Like that's not a. Dustin, let me guess yours. Can I guess?
Being bad is the definition.
Sure, you're not going to get either of the ones that I wrote down.
Oh yeah, one of yours is early access.
Oh. I don't know.
No.
I think that I'm not opposed to the concept of early access. I'm opposed to the implementation of early access.
Agreed.
Put out an unfinished game for so long.
I see.
For people to just play test it for you just seems like bad practice in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Agreed.
Here's what I wrote down. One, both. Well, I know they're different from one another, but also the same. Similar. One is not even about the content of the game itself, but one of my biggest pet peeves is when a game, it often happens with PC titles, has 13 unskippable splash screens before the start screen even arrives. You have to sit there for half an hour watching all these logos come up. We as a retro gaming podcast see it all the time, but it is the most annoying and egregious thing if you can't skip them. If you can skip them, fine. But there are many times where I have gone into, I don't know the terminology here, the code of the game and removed the splash screens. You can, like, I've actually gone, I found a folder with the splash screens, deleted them all, because that is one thing that completely frustrates me.
Yeah.
I wonder why you're frustrated by that this week, specifically.
Specifically because, I mean, Ninjabread Man has at least some of those. Oh, I shouldn't say the title yet.
Cyberpunk does that to me every
yourself.
time I boot it up, and it makes me mad too.
One other thing, and I feel like both of you would agree, but I feel like this is a Kenny pedantic thing. Not putting treasure behind waterfalls. If there's a waterfall, and one, I can't go behind it, but two, if I can and there's nothing there, actually. Burn in hell. No,
at least it within your game.
Dude, play Elden Ring.
It's
DLC.
fine it's fine if not every waterfall has a treasure.
IRL?
But at least in the game. Okay. But at least one of your waterfalls has to.
No, I never need to go behind a waterfall and there not be something there for me.
Yeah, if they created a nook behind it to go in, and there's no treasure, that's ridiculous.
There should always be something. It shouldn't always
if it's
be
a wall
treasure
that I can't go in, fine. It's just a waterfall at that point. But
right.
Come on, I agree with both of those. Those are pretty good. But Blizzard does suck, and
every
company similar to them suck.
I imagine that most of the time, developers, even Blizzard, do their best to make great games, and sometimes they just fall short. And that's how the cookie crumbles.
Shortbread.
Like in our retro game of the week, Ninjabread Man.
Overview.
Ninjabread Man was released in 2005, and I didn't realize this until later this week, actually. Exclusively in Europe at the time. In fact, this is one of the rare titles where its re-release on a different console is kind of the more notable one, the one that people actually played. So The first European release in 2005 was for the PlayStation 2 and the PC. First of all, interesting. And then later, I think in 2007, it released, not worldwide, I guess, but Europe, Australia, North America for the Wii.
Yeah. I love that Australia got their own release for this because they never get like a release for good games, and so
and they need this one.
They needed this one on the Wii specifically.
Yeah. It is a 3D platformer, which I'll just I want to make clear right now.
Don't say it.
Is never a good idea. There's not one good 3D platformer.
That's not true, and you know that.
Name 30 of them.
30.
30.
Banjo-Kazooie, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter,
Spyro,
you little loser.
Some of the ones that you've even is great.
Yeah.
Some of the ones that you mentioned though are a little bit more action than platformer.
No, those are 3D platformers. They always have been.
Ratchet and Clank is more action adventure than 3D platformer.
No, it's a 3D platformer, and
up your arsenal.
There's some, yeah, exactly, and it's a great genre. I'll defend it. I'm not gonna let you say that.
I'm good with 2D platformers. 3D platformers, in my experience, at least some of these earlier ones, in 2005 is not early, this game, my goodness. But there are a lot of issues that I have found in some of the early 3D platformers. We'll talk and see if any of those are a part of this game.
Battle for Bikini Bottom.
When they're bad, they're very bad for sure.
And when they're good, they're bad.
No, when they're good,
I
they're
disagree
amazing.
there.
Golly.
The game was developed by Data Design Interactive, or Data Design Interactive, and then it was produced or published by Metro 3D Europe in the EU. But I love the name of the company that published it in North America, Conspiracy Entertainment. And we might talk about why that is interesting here in just a moment. Actually, let's do so now. I really respect the name Conspiracy Entertainment when you release a game multiple times under different names with different skins. I don't know if you know this. Believe it or not, Ninjabread Man was also released as Anubis II. Was also released as Rock and Roll Adventures, was also released as Myth Makers, Trixie in Toyland, with a different skin and sometimes even the same music. A 3D big-headed character. Really, they just reskinned. It's actually known as an asset flip, I think is the terminology there. And they
knowing the words.
So they just recovered everything, put out the same game multiple times, same soundtrack, same handling, same level design, and called it 3 different things.
There's a little nuance there, and I kind of don't blame them. We don't need to get too far into the weeds here, but this game was originally supposed to be developing a licensed game, a game called Zool, I think.
Yeah, it was going to be a part of that series.
Yeah. So this company creates this game, does a tech demo. Think about licensed games and how low the bar is for expectations about what a licensed game looks like. Keep that in mind when we realize they brought it to the people who own Zool, the characters, and showed it to them, and they were like, nah.
Not interested.
Nah, we can't have you release this game with our assets on it because it's not good enough.
It's fair to call
whatever their reason.
Shovelware?
Not interested, but yeah, it absolutely is shovelware. And Dustin, you said just re-releases. My understanding, and I could be wrong about how this happened, and we'll talk about the implications for this game as we get into it. But my understanding is that they took this bigger game that they had and broke it up. So it's not just reskins, it's reskins of different levels that would have made one bigger game.
No, that's exactly what happened.
Wait a
so
minute.
like I said, you've got Rock and Roll Adventures, which is Ninjabread Man, but in a different world. It's the music
right, it's
world.
one of the worlds that the original game was going to have.
The worlds in the pitch that are in the
reskinned.
demo that they were showing, one was a candy land, that's this game. One was a music land, that's Rock and Roll Adventure. One was like an Egyptian land, that's Anubis II. And one was a toy land, and that's Trixie in Toyland.
What?
I mean, if they felt like we have to somehow get our monies out of this and
let's do it 4
had
times.
No option. Don't get me wrong. We talked about game design sins. This might be at the top of the list. It's so shady and kind of unethical.
So just to make money, they did that to
yeah,
to cash in on 4 different games instead of 1.
Totally.
They said the developers or the whatever of Zool don't like our 1 game.
Got it.
Let's put this out as 4 games and make 4 times the money.
How many levels can we go to make this? It's like when you compress a video like 60 times.
Yeah, and it's scuffed. Yeah.
And then let's re-release it on the Wii with motion controls to make it even more difficult to interact with. That's not the version we played with.
Right.
But
speak for yourself. I didn't play the Wii version.
Oh, I was gonna feel so sorry.
He didn't play the Wii, the PS2, or the PC one. So you should know, dear listener, that we will often try to aim for the original console that the game came on, so that we can kind of test it out, see how it was in its original form. And I think that's what we did this week. I played the PS2 version, but whether you played we all played the PS2 version. The Wii version actually is not significantly different by any stretch of the imagination, but it does have some differences, and we might be able to talk about that a little bit. But our experience this week was on the PS2. And let me give you the story for Ninjabread.
Oh.
In a once thriving kingdom of sugar-coated castles and gumdrop forests, an ancient curse has twisted the once sweet world into a nightmarish wasteland. The gingerbread people, once merry and warm, have been corrupted by dark magic, turning into crumbly husks of their former selves. Beneath the frosting-covered ruins lurk licorice beasts in molten candy pools, and the land's protector, the legendary Ninjabread man, is our only and last hope.
I mean, you say that. That's not actually the story of the game at all.
No, I made that up.
Oh, you wrote that whole thing?
Yeah, because there's no story here.
You did so good.
Hey, someone should hire you, honestly. Your favorite podcast has t-shirts now.
We've got 2. One is Castlevania inspired, and the other is Portal inspired.
There are a limited amount of them, and they're really, really well done. Yeah. So you want to pick one up today if you haven't gotten yours yet. ngppodcast.myshopify.com. Get yours while supplies last.
Gameplay.
Ninjabread Man is a 3D platformer with the goal of navigating the stage that you're on, avoiding or defeating the enemies that you come across, collecting 8 blue power rods to unlock the teleporter, and exit the stage. And if you read the instructions, thankfully it tells you that to unlock a locked level, you have to complete the previous level, which is really new to gaming design here.
Yeah, it's new, all right.
Before then, you could kind of just do whatever you want to do, but in this game in particular, you have to beat the former stage to get to the next stage. It is really wild.
It's really crazy
Your realization,
how that works.
Was that what you realized in the first play?
In the
was
first
that
play.
Something? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. And
wait,
what
doesn't work?
No.
What doesn't
Y'all are
work?
talking about 2 different things.
The fact.
Okay.
No.
Dustin just described normal level progression.
Right.
Just
And
how
that's
things
what
work.
I'm talking about too.
Okay. I thought, Nolan, you were thinking about the fact that you get different game modes
that's not what
on
I'm
each
talking
level once you beat that level. I thought.
Wait, so what doesn't work? Because I think it's actually a good design in video
to
games.
make you beat a level before you go to the next one?
Yeah.
Probably.
I agree. I just beat it like you don't need to specify that, obviously.
Right.
It's like explaining you have to get to the end of the stage to finish the stage. Like it's kind of like just kind of basic video game design.
They could have used the however many minutes it took to make that little info screen to tell you that to make the game a little better, to make the game play a little better.
Well, it doesn't bode well, or it's not a good sign when instead of giving a good tutorial level, which they actually do in the Wii, well, I don't know about good, but they give a tutorial level in the Wii game. They don't in this game. Instead of doing that, they have a whole instructions page that has paragraphs of text on like 8 different things: movement, action, like
reading all that.
Almost unreadable text.
Yeah.
because it's like sentences long, and they don't. I think the shift key on their keyboard broke or something.
Yeah.
Everything is lowercase in like the most obnoxious font, and it's just like one long run-on sentence with like dangling ends of sentences. It looks atrocious. The menuing, it's so bad. And what drives me crazy, I think I probably know why people were confused about like some gameplay things or something if and when they did some user testing. But you can get to that tutorial 2 different places. There's like dual menus. So you bring up the first game and there's a menu that looks ugly and thrown together and has the word play and how to play, or like play the game and like how to play. And you're like, okay, so you go through that. And then you get into a nicer looking, more well put together menu screen that has play and has options. And within that options menu, there is an how to play the game option. It's like they had it buried in their menu, and instead of just bringing it up a level to make it obvious to people that it was there, they put a whole nother menu on top of it. It's not the thing that I should rant about the most here, but it bothered me and is emblematic of the kind of care that went into making this game.
Get your money's worth. Get 2 menus. What like 2 menus
Add 3 menus.
Yeah.
This is one game. You said that there was no story. This is a game that needs one, and I don't say that often because it just throws you into this game and acts like you're supposed to be okay with the events that are taking place. I don't. The theme of the game is unacceptable to me.
Wait, no, the theme is fine. You can have a silly, cute, fun theme, but without any kind of context.
You can.
No, look, I agree with your premise.
Without the context,
there is a subtext of cannibalism that I think might be what makes Nolan uncomfortable.
No, I don't care that I'm a cookie killing sweet treats. I don't care about that.
That sounds great.
I do.
But I have a sword and I'm a ninja and
that's fine.
Well, yes, it's fine, but it needs context.
It needs context. Yes,
it
needs
does.
a story in order for me to
the idea
down
of the character as a stupid pun play on words is like it's clever. You could make a good Ninjabread Man game and it'd be tongue in cheek and funny. You absolutely could.
This is a game concept and title that Kenny would come up with.
Absolutely.
And look, you put the story that I made up into this game. It doesn't have to be that because I went a little dark. But look, with platformers, I think we can all agree it doesn't have to focus primarily on story, and you don't need a lot of it, but it can benefit, and it benefits most platformers to have at least something at the start.
Give us a reason.
Give us a reason. Give us context for this world, especially, Nolan, I'm going back to you, when the world is so different than what you would normally experience. So, Nolan, kind of, we've talked about it, but like this world that you're seeing and this environment that you're living in is made up of cookies, shortcake, candy canes, lollipops, gumdrops. Not lava. That's got to be something else.
I mean, what? Hot water?
Molten fudge.
The enemies that are attacking you, cupcakes, slice of cakes, bees.
Yeah, bees.
Which I said that not understanding why. Look.
But then all the sweets attract them.
Have you ever gone?
Kind of works.
Don't go
it doesn't.
Don't go to the park with sweets because you'll have bees that are coming around all the time. So it kind of makes sense. But
attracted to sweets?
They are. Ask them. My underlying thought is that if a game, and this isn't 100% of the time because I think some Mega Mans have it, but if a game has bees as enemies, it is likely a bad game.
Terraria is a great game.
Look, there are exceptions, but that is an easy way out without. That's when you don't have enough of a theme going on that you've got to just throw in something
that
are
annoying.
Extra.
Because most of the time, I mean, it's annoying to have like an enemy that flies and like buzzes, the noise that it makes. But then, oftentimes when you hit it, it hurts you because of the stinger. Like it has a built-in like thorns mechanic. I agree with you. I think bees are a trash enemy.
The whole hitbox hurtbox of this game is just atrocious to begin with.
Well, we don't even need to discuss it. The only thing people need to know is that it's terrible. It's not even it doesn't
the
even
worst.
work.
Honestly, look, we'll
Yes,
get
say
to
what
how
you're
bad
gonna
this
say.
game is compared to other things, but it is the worst hitbox hurtbox that I've experienced in any game. It
Yeah,
really
it's-
is. I can't think of one that's worse.
I think it's randomized
It's
too.
so bad.
It's inconsistent.
Random.
It works
It's
never,
just
but
RNG.
sometimes it works differently than it didn't before. It's
Oh, yeah.
so bad, and it's not even worth discussing. Like it's just not finished. It's not finished.
Well, they give you a sword, which is a great weapon for a ninja.
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
But the sword is less long
Than your
than
body.
the diameter of your head.
Oh, yeah.
He would have better luck headbutting
Yeah.
people in terms of being able to hit them than hitting them with this sword.
Yeah, you have-
and I get that maybe they're trying to drive you towards using the ranged weapon as your primary weapon. I get that. And there's reasons to think that's how they wanted you to play this game. But making your fallback weapon, even if that's what it is, completely worthless by giving it, an inch and a half of range is not the answer.
Well, and
there.
also good luck aiming it.
Yeah, you just hit it right in front of you. Yeah. It's bad.
If you're not understanding, you're going to take damage every time that you try to attack someone with your sword.
Yeah.
About 90% of the time, you're going to take damage when you attack with your sword. And that's bad because you only start with a limited amount of hearts, and you can get health back by defeating an enemy because then a heart drops. That's normal game design. You know it's not normal game design that the heart will slowly float away unless you chase after it. That's another thing that just makes me irrationally angry, that you actually have to go chasing after the heart.
What game
That
does that?
one doesn't bug
There's
me.
another. No, that bugs me. I'm with you, but I'm trying to think. There's another game that does something
Really?
like that. Yeah, not.
I
and
understand the
games-
heart's slowly fading away.
Yeah, there's
Sure,
some.
sure,
It's pretty common to have them fade or whatever.
but you have to go
but
catch
It
this thing, and
chases.
it's
It
not
runs
easy.
away from you like you're a
you
bad
do.
guy.
It's got little wings.
Yeah, and you're going to lose health because not only
Constantly.
can the enemies hurt you, some of them even have projectiles. I did it again.
He
What's
said
my
it again!
problem?
I don't know.
That's
Wait,
my
you did that one on
favorite
purpose.
thing.
That was a
No, I
callback.
didn't.
No,
I
he
didn't.
didn't.
Projectile.
But there is, I think it's mainly just the whatever is the lava filler here that can also hurt you. But there's some environmental things that can do.
Yeah,
some
there's
damage
proximity
to you as well.
bombs.
Oh my
There's
gosh!
like
The
all
proximity
kinds of
bombs
things
with combined with the hurt and hit detection in this game.
Those
that
mines.
immediately blow up. They don't give you any chance.
No.
To,
And they're around corners,
them.
so you can't
Yep.
even. And
like,
they blow too fast where you can't run past them. So once you proc them,
Right.
you have to back up, which kills
and
pacing.
knock you back. So sometimes we'll knock you off of platforms.
Yeah.
It's so rude. They put so many mechanics like that where it's like, haha, gotcha, kind of mechanics from the developers to the players. The first time you're on a platform that is like moving up and down and then it like sinks into the lava.
but only one of them.
Right, but just randomly with no warning. Little stuff like that is just so rude.
And if you fall
like,
in the
there's
lava,
no need.
you just bounce in
So
place.
you'll take multiple
hits
hearts of damage
instead
yeah.
of like respawning. Okay, so let's say you like master all these things, Lamau. You're never gonna do that. Progression in this game, 3D platformers often have collectibles, and a conversation we usually have with them is if it's a collectathon, or if it's adequately throwing collectibles at you that you might want to get that make you stronger or are tied to like a hub world progression or something. The progression in this game is collecting this one vial battery. I don't know what it is.
I think power rod is what the Wii calls it. at least.
Power rod for some reason. You have to get 8 of them.
I'm sure it made
7.
sense in Zool.
Yeah, it's a
probably
Zool
did,
asset.
yeah.
Because it, like a little spaceship comes up and you get in there out of the teleporter, which doesn't
Yeah.
make sense in this Candyland thing. Kenny could have came
Right.
up with like a cupcake or a gingerbread effing house. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
it could
a
have
house
been a
that comes up,
gingerbread house.
You go in it and it flies away or something. I don't know. But instead, you
Yep.
collect power cells, 8 of them, which you don't want to explore in this game. It's not a good 3D platformer, and so you're not like, oh, I wonder how I get over to that platform. I wonder how I solve the puzzle to get up there. I wonder how I'll fight this mini boss to. No, you're just you're hoping you find one of these stupid power cells in this terribly designed level. Because if you don't, and you find the teleporter, then you can't leave the level. And when you find all of them and you go to the teleporter, half the time when you're like because of the hit detection again, you're walking through the middle of it trying to get it to activate, and it won't see you until
it's
like
so
it
finicky.
finally sees you, and then you
it's not the only finicky thing in this game, but it was finicky.
And the last thing about that, when you do beat the level, instead of an animation happening, not even fade on screen, just like a box appears on screen, says level complete in like Times New Roman, and you hit continue, and then that's it.
Calibri.
And you're a third of the way through the game.
Yeah, a third of the way through the game after the first stage, which is crazy. So, listen, at least, this is sarcastic, you're not wandering aimlessly through the stage because you've got a delicious, delightful arrow that is guiding you to the closest. Nolan's doing it right now. He's pointing all over the place. This arrow is the worst designed arrow in any
pointless.
game.
It's John Locke's compass.
It's so pointless.
Doesn't know where it's pointing, dude.
Oh,
I think it just points in the general direction of the closest power cell.
Even if there's a massive wall in the way.
Right. The problem is it doesn't point you towards like where you should be going. So it's not contextual at all. It's just a literal direction and just to the nearest one. And so if you're moving around and there's a bunch of different power cells, it's just like going all over the place. And then visually, the angle of how they did the 3D, half the time it doesn't even look like an arrow. It's just like a little yellow line on your screen that means nothing. And you're like, where did my arrow go? It's so poorly
What
implemented.
were those other arrows? There were some arrows not in the bottom right corner on like the heads-up display, but just in the world pointing down at like certain
you never
platforms.
realized what that was?
No.
So they don't show up until there's a purple ball, and once you activate it, jumping into it turns into an arrow that points down. That's a checkpoint. So like if and when you die, you'll show up back there rather than having to start the stage over again.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, I was doing that without even realizing that was okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And Kenny, you mentioned once you finish the first stage, you're a third of the way through. There's only 3 stages in this entire game: Sweet Forest, Lollipop Run, and Candy Capers. If you know what you're doing, or even if you don't, this entire game can be finished in 30 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, probably way faster.
If you don't, it's going to take you longer because this game is hard and obnoxious, and you're going to die, and it's janky, and you're going to just fail your way through it.
When you just don't know where those stupid battery cells are, so you're
right. And when you do have a complete like wipe, like not like you just lost 1 life, but all your lives, it's a start over situation. You know,
which is bad.
So you're not your very first time sitting down. You're probably not going to do this in sub 30 minutes, but it's less than 30 minutes of content.
Yeah.
If it's just like played through, which is on its own terrible. Even a very, very good game, we have had times that we've been like, this game was great. They didn't give us nearly enough of it, and that's a problem. Enough to even just not give a game NGP from that alone.
Right, and this game they give you this is too much. I will tell you guys, I did play the game. I was joking that it wasn't, and I was really not gonna. I played 5 minutes and quit. That's it.
Some would ask if that's enough time to get a reasonable response and reaction to what the developers have created for you.
Some would ask that, and I would say yes.
Most weeks I would give you a hard time.
You're not
that's
going
ridiculous.
To this week?
But I get it.
That's a quarter of the game. Like, come on.
You literally can feel, because so much of what's problematic about this game isn't game design elements. It's not the fact that it's short. Like, we're listing a whole bunch of things that are terrible, but so much of it is just how inherently janky it is. Your movement is like super fast and kind of twitchy. Your character like almost instantly accelerates, which is not a real way that they ever have any character move ever. And so until you get used to that, you're going to be stepping off of platforms. You're going to be weirdly trying to get one place and failing and
running
falling.
Into enemies and over and over.
Absolutely. You're going to be trying to double jump, and you're going to assume that in the middle of your double jump you can do anything because you have 2 attacks and you should be able to jump and then also attack. No, at least your primary attack, if you jump and throw it, it doesn't trigger until you land. I don't even know. I feel like I want to get through my entire list of things that are wrong with this game, but I don't know if we have time.
Someone
for that.
submitted this, Kenny, to the Retro Master list.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure as like a troll or like a let's have them roast it, but still.
Fuck bosses.
Thanks a lot.
Done.
All right, that was a good discussion there.
I will say none of us experienced this because I don't think anyone's experienced it, because why would you ever want to? But when you beat the normal mode, then it unlocks a new mode called score pickups. Right. Oh, by the way, there's a score that it's keeping track of, which does not matter.
And you can do that more than once. Play through it, then be able to play through it with a new shtick.
Right.
Like, there's not just score pickup. There's like 2 other modes after that as well.
And it's the same levels and same.
It's the
everything.
same levels.
It's the same levels, just different mechanics. In one, you're collecting things. In one, you're just trying to get out. In one, you're trying to get a high score. In one, you're trying to get through it as quickly as you possibly can.
It's shovelware.
So they just played all the gimmicks that they could to make it feel like they fleshed out a game, even though it's a short game.
If they were different levels,
1/5 of the game they wanted it to be,
with different objectives, I wouldn't give them as hard of a time. Obviously, still trash, but like, it's the same thing. They just put the mode. The mode has a different name to it. That's crazy. That's shameless.
Aged.
The developers knew about this. They knew
What they were doing.
Yeah,
and that it was wrong.
Yeah, they knew. They
Sure.
knew that this wasn't fun, and was terrible. And we're just like, we don't care. We want to make at least something from it, and taking advantage of people.
Well, they especially knew it after their meeting with the Zool developers, because they told them. That
Right.
They told them
It got
like Kenny said,
rejected
licensed, said no.
for the lowest tier kind of game.
So
And
how did it get made?
Well, here's the thing. This is 2005. And 2007. This is around the era where like shovelware it had been a thing, right? But on phones and other things, where
On the
people,
Wii especially.
Yeah, this had started to become a thing of like, let's just put out as much as we can. It doesn't have to be good. People will buy it, even if they hate it. We've made the money already.
Right.
What is shovelware?
What's crazy?
Does it mean that it gets put dirt on top of it and you bury it because it's garbage and they just don't care? I don't know.
Kenny will be able to tell you
definition.
off of the top of my head.
Googled
it's a
it.
term.
I saw you type.
No, look, my eyes are closed. It's a term
just
for
shoveling it out
individual
there.
video games or software bundles known more for the quantity of what is included than for the quality or usefulness.
Yeah, so companies or teams that put out like this, they took a game, broke it into 4 games, and then tried to release all of them and make money, because they're shoveling it onto the to the consumer. And so my point is, the devs here, the publisher too, to an extent, knew this, and they just don't care.
For how much it didn't matter, here's some context. This game came out in 2005, and obviously we have some negative opinions about this game, but that was clearly recognized by the entire gaming community.
Yeah, because they're not idiots.
We'll talk about it, but I accidentally stumbled on an IGN review of this game from way back in the day. And literally, it's like a minute long, and the guy is just like, "This isn't even worth my time to review."
That was an official review.
It's an official review that's like a video. It's less than 2 minutes. You should go look it up.
I
just
usually don't like
it's
IGN,
silly.
but that's
no, I don't
respected.
either. But that one was so just like he was livid that he had to do this. But no, 2005, this game comes out. This game company didn't go, I don't know, bankrupt, kaput, closed down, whatever happened. They stayed in business until 2012.
Probably
that's
doing
the era
this
of shovel.
Very,
That's the era.
That very thing, taking advantage of Wii customers and little children and parents that don't know, because gingerbread looks cute. They made their money probably, which pisses me off.
Yeah, I don't want us to go too far from it. I obviously went to the Wikipedia of shovelware to win and gave that. Ninjabread, man, is referenced
Of course
on
it
the
is.
Wikipedia. And we
Maybe-
rarely, if ever, read from Wikipedia on a podcast, but I think it's we should, right? The Nintendo Wii became known for large amounts of shovelware, including ports of PlayStation 2 games, which had previously only been released in Europe. Data Design Interactive became known for creating shovelware for the Wii. Their games, Ninjabread Man, Anubis II, Rock and Roll Adventures, and Myth Makers, Trixie, and Toyland all used the exact same gameplay and level layouts, but changed the art and character design to make them appear to be unique properties.
They're the de facto. Like they
are.
This is the
shovelware.
definition
They are.
of
Wow.
that problem.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's why someone submitted this. So that we would
Okay,
have
yeah,
this
so
discussion.
Absolutely.
like for
Yeah.
the discussion, now we'll never play another shovelware again. If it's
Don't
rolled,
add
we
those
will
other
not
ones.
tell you it.
right. Well,
Don't add those
we
other
can
ones.
say those other ones have already been played.
Wait,
if
did
they
those
come
other
up,
ones come
we'll
out?
be like, they did. They
Yeah.
all got released. Yeah. If those titles come up though, we'll be like, well, we already played
It's
this
the same
and
game.
move on.
If any
Exactly.
shovelware title comes out, we played
Right.
the game. So like we've
Right.
done it.
That's so interesting that they got away with that. Like, I feel like today, does that still happen? Does that fly? I don't think people let that fly anymore.
Not in
We're-
the same way.
Yeah, not. in the
So
same
we've gotten super into the weeds on the like legacy of this game and its reputation and how it was made and its popularity. There's some other aging factors here as well beyond that. Like that's a huge one. But can we talk about the music in this game?
No.
No.
Why?
You just don't want to relive that? You're worried about PTSD or
Again,
what?
this is where the Wii did it a little better. They have a different soundtrack, and so it's
interesting.
bad. It's bad, but it's more listenable. The PlayStation 2 single song that's on repeat is thematically appropriate, but is
Not even really.
I feel like it's
I didn't-
candy-ish.
I didn't feel candy-ish or gingerbreadish.
Yeah, it felt more, I don't know, circus-y to me than candy-ish. And even if so, you're trying to be a ninja running around doing
Yes,
adventure things.
exactly.
If they literally ripped this terrible music out, put a good soundtrack in that was like
Like a
hype
Shinobi
and
song.
energy
Yes.
and yeah, exactly.
That's
It
what
had
it
more
needed.
that like energy vibe with just like a little bit of silliness like sprinkled in for like
Yeah.
some
The sound
points
effects
as you
can
hit
be silly.
stuff. People would immediately have hated this game like 30%
Kenny's
less.
Dev Corner.
Well, you know it's not fit for the particular game when it's also the soundtrack of Trixie's Toyland and Anubis II.
Is it?
They
And
just copy and paste it.
not for every single one of them, but for at least some of those games, it's the same. It's the exact same, yes.
I hate these guys.
Is that not crazy?
That is
Here's-
actually crazy.
Here's what I'll say that Nolan will disagree with, and I hope Kenny will have. I actually don't care if he has my back, but I think he might. I don't hate his design. Like, I think the gingerbread man with the red hachimaki, by the way.
Oh.
And
Well
the
researched.
samurai swords, although he's dual wielding on the front cover and he's not in game. Like I love the pun and the character design. I think there could have been with a different developer with different intent, all of those things. But there could have been there was an idea here, implementation, different thing. But I like what I'm looking at with him.
Totally agree.
Makes a great mobile game mascot. That's as
Sure.
far as I'll give it to him.
Okay,
I think
yeah,
it could
okay,
even
cool.
work well on mobile, but I think it works generally. A tons of room to give him really interesting facial expressions,
Yeah.
so they choose never to show his face,
Right.
which is a terrible choice.
Well, here's the thing.
Like one of many.
You've got a gingerbread man that did make prime time.
Absolutely.
I don't know his name, but in Shrek.
I mean,
Yeah.
the gingerbread man.
Really?
That's his name, yeah.
They couldn't come
pretty
up with
sure he's
anything
just the
creative?
Not the
Pretty sure
gumdrop
he's just the
buttons.
gingerbread
Man could have taken him easily. I also found out this
Absolutely.
week, guys, Nolan, this is going to probably make you even more mad. When you save on the PlayStation 2 and you go into look at the save file on the PlayStation 2, it is that gingerbread man from Shrek. They now
They're just
Really?
they had to
blatantly
remove
trolling
it.
you.
They found the PNG online. They searched gingerbread man, got the Shrek one, pulled it in, and that's the save file. They changed it because it's not in the Wii one anymore.
Get sued.
Yeah,
I'd bet they got sued. They
No,
should have if they
apparently
didn't.
but I don't know how we got there. But I like the
crazy.
design. I think there could have been something there graphically. He works, but everything else in the world is
Even even then, I think the graphics are the least egregious thing. I think the design is really bad.
Let me tell
They're
you
not. It's not. It's not great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to like redeem this
but it's
game.
not like vomit.
There are a small handful of things that the game actually like did okay, but this is on the it was fine list. I think the graphics look okay.
It's not fine because listen, it's 3D, but it looked 2D. They did such a bad job making it look 3D. So, for instance, the cookies you're jumping on have like a cookie texture, but it's not even a text. Just it's like a
it's a wrap, like
frame
it's
wrap. It's a wrap. Like if you wrap a car, it's a flat,
that's true,
non-textured.
It's true.
Picture on top of a 3D model. It looks
the
so
chocolate
bad.
chunks are flat.
They're
You're absolutely right.
And that happens on all the textured things in the game, and I think it looks so hideous.
Which is funny because it's not super complex textures.
Right.
And yet, every time one of these fairly small maps loaded, they're not big. They're not big maps. The visual assets are fine for the PlayStation 2, but they're nothing revolutionary. It took, 23 minutes? Hyperbole.
I think in the first play, I had to cut out the time to load the first stage on the loading screen because I didn't want you to just wait and stare.
Significant amount of time every time you get to a load screen on this game that has no reason.
Yeah, it's longer than
and they didn't even put they didn't even put in any story or anything there, which they could have.
Right, there are PlayStation 2 games that do have long loading screens. It was known for that. Ninjabread Man is not one that needed that.
No, and it needed to find a way to make that less of a problem. Some of that may be PS2, but it was overtly part of the things that made this a bad experience.
This isn't a continued series, although, guys, there was a planned but canceled sequel. There was a planned... Let me say this. There was a planned sequel, meaning they thought that they had sold enough and made enough money that they had a sequel titled Ninjabread. They had a title, which also, this one makes me mad. Ninjabread Man, Blades of Fury was announced, and subsequently, for unknown reasons, it was canceled.
Unknown reasons.
Yeah. Oh, and then the business went out of business just a couple of years later.
I'll tell you why it got canceled. Someone from the future went back in time to stop it. They were like, this can't happen. It can't happen again.
But if you do want a copy for your PlayStation 2, it is going to be $9 used or loose. It's going to be $30 new. And that's
overpriced.
Still too much.
That's so overpriced.
Right, this is one of those... Yeah. Do you know that you can get the Skyrim Legendary Complete whatever for like $1.99 nowadays? Yeah. You're not paying $30 for that.
You know what's Elsa said? This is probably on the shelf of your local GameStop still. Like GameStop had all the shovelware. I remember browsing being like, this stupid stuff. Where's the good games?
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. Nolan, you've let out some of your anger. Maybe this is going to be a surprise to everyone of how much you actually enjoyed it. So go ahead and have your last little rant.
It's been an angry episode, starting with the question of the week, huh?
True.
I'm angry that we even gave it airtime, especially after like learning the dirty goings on of that company and how this game's there's 6 versions of it with different skins. I obviously hated it. It's not a game. Dustin called it a baby game in his first play. I disagree. I think they wanted it to be that way so that moms and little kids would see it and want to play it, and it looks safe for their kid to play. But it's not a game. It doesn't function as a game. The hitbox detection, the hurtbox, the controls, all of them were made by someone who doesn't know how to code, and it's apparent. And they don't care. That's the biggest thing. They didn't care, and they knowingly did this. So they have no passion for the medium. I hope they never make another game. And I can't believe... I just obviously don't play this stupid game. That's it.
So that's a no.
That's a no.
Kenny?
Yeah, so of course not. I don't think my no is a surprise at this point. This sort of foregone conclusion. So I think the more interesting question actually is how much we hated it. And I hated it a lot. But here was my guess. I said I think Nolan will maybe claim to be the angriest. Dustin will have actually been the angriest because I think he made himself suffer through it more than we did. I'm not sure. I had said maybe not all of it, or I said maybe he even played all of it given its length. Did you beat it this week, Dustin?
No, I really couldn't even bring myself to do
Okay,
it.
good. I was gonna be so mad for you.
Yeah.
I don't blame you either. And then I said for me, I'm just kind of disappointed in humanity. But it's 2024, so maybe that's not news. Here's my philosophy. Forget the Mayan calendars or whatever. Ninjabread Man was our warning of what was to come. And it wasn't wrong. 1 out of 10 wouldn't play again. It's not much is worse than this game besides maybe American politics.
Wow.
Dang, that okay, maybe you hated it the most, Ken.
And again, for those listening in the future, this is October of 2024, so
Yeah.
it's really bad. Right
Yeah. That's
okay.
real bad.
I don't have anything else to add. I just want to ask a question, but I want your real answer to this. So don't do gut reaction, like actually give it just a thought real quick. Because on a recent episode, I said that Back to the Future is probably going to be the worst game that we played in 2024, that it would be at the bottom of my list. It is bad. We all agree. Which game is worse? I'd like for you to tell me right now. Is Back to the Future, was that an NES title?
Yes.
That NES game that was the same over and over again with really bad mini games in between, was that worse, or was Ninjabread Man, this PS2 2005 title, worse? Two very different games, but has some similar things going on.
They're both so bad.
Which
this
one's
isn't
worse?
a gut reaction because I knew the question as you were forming it, so I've been thinking. This game's worse.
Wow.
Easily, actually. I really hated Back to the Future.
Yeah.
But it's an old NES game that at least is a game.
Yeah.
And it had more variance than this game. This is worse. This is worth it. And in my mind, I was trying to think of the last 3D platformer that was so trash. And it was that baby game, the Land Before Time game.
Yes.
You guys remember?
Oh, yeah.
Better than this.
Yeah.
Better than this.
Oh, I played that a lot
way
longer
better than this. Yeah.
Kenny?
I don't think I agree as hard, but I will say this is worse than that. Though I think it has more potential. If you took both of those, no, I do, and that makes me angry. If you took both of those games and just fixed a few of the simple things wrong with them, this one could have gotten there a lot more easily.
Kenny just brought it full circle to his question of the week answer.
Absolutely, yeah.
Same.
Which enrages me.
I think
You
that
think the
this
same?
game is worse. Yeah, I played a lot. I finished Back to the Future. I didn't finish this. I didn't finish this arguably shorter game than that NES game because of how it made me feel.
It is shorter.
It was poisonous. Like I was getting weaker the more that I played.
You're losing
this
muscle
is
mass playing
not
this
a good game. I do not give it my vote for New Game Plus status. None of us do, which means that Ninjabread Man, good title, good character, is not New Game Plus certified.
It is.
That. No.
It's great.
But what did you think? On our YouTube poll, 5% said yes, it's worth playing today.
Trolls.
Those were the developers.
16.
Those are the gingerbread men that are online.
16% said no, go play something else, and 79% have good lives.
Yeah, lucky. I envy you.
Many played along with us this week and wrote in.
Bless you all.
We've got it's one of those games.
So sorry.
One of those games where we've got a lot of quick commentaries, so I'll read a few
yeah.
of those before we get into the more meaty ones. Jafar said you can still find copies of Ninjabread Man on Wii for $5 at any Dollar General in America if you hate yourself and hate having money.
This isn't even a GameStop sale. This is a Dollar General.
It's Dollar General.
He's so right. Wow.
Tins said a game filled with desserts, but is anything but sweet. Stay away to avoid a cavity in your gaming history.
Nice. Is
Okay,
that a haiku?
pun.
Mal said, rest in breadcrumbs, Ninjabread Man. You will not be missed.
Truth.
That is no, he won't be.
Keeks said, "Do you know the Muffin Man?" Yeah, don't know if this game is worth it. I thank the boys for their sacrifice this week.
Yeah, don't do this again.
Yeah, this is one of those weeks where we suffered for you.
Yeah, don't submit another one of those games.
Scotty Clash said, "This game is a masterclass. 10 out of 10, better than Zelda. Great game. Did not play this week."
Obvious not going to fall for that rage bait. That's ridiculous.
And then Poop McFart, who from now on I'm just going to call PMF, said, "Things more fun than Ninjabread Man. Paper cuts, throwing up, scam calls. This game is poop. Going to be a no from me, dog."
Let me disagree. Worse than scam calls, yes. On par with paper cuts, but not as bad as throwing up.
Oh, I think paper cuts is worse than throwing up, probably.
Whoa!
Oh, no, I hate throwing up. I think
throwing up is way worse than paper cuts.
Last time I threw up, I was 12. So.
Yeah, you did you know that he never has vomited?
Well, that's why.
12.
Yeah, that's actually crazy.
You've forgotten.
Hate it so much. It makes and I hate.
It's the worst.
Stomach.
It's the worst thing. I nailed it. Is all I'm gonna say.
Heath said, "Best game ever." Psych! I played a PC version of the Ninjabread. I played a PC version of the Ninjabread Man. The first thing I noticed was the default keys it assigned me to play with when I chose the keyboard options. Arrow keys and enter, backspace, center, page up, and page down.
I forgot.
That's crazy.
I'm not even responding directly. No, that is nuts. That is nuts.
Okay.
That reminded me of the thing I wanted to rant about the most, and I've forgotten up until this point. So thank you for that comment. PlayStation, you have 4 primary buttons. 4 of them. We also know which of the 2 of them are the most important because of where they're placed versus your thumb.
X
Square
and
and
square.
X.
You had one button that didn't get used at all.
Well,
it's mapped to nothing.
What do you want them to put on there?
It does nothing. Anything. Come up with something. Let him slide. Give him a different attack. Toggle which attack you're at. Give me one other version of fixing the camera.
Oh, no.
Flip the camera around and show me a funny facial expression. I don't care. You had a prime real estate button that you just ignored. And you used all 4 of the trigger buttons. What in the whole nonsense is that on its own? Tells you everything you need to know. I'll get off the soapbox, but that made me livid.
Sorry, Heath. Heath said, "For a game that came out on the PS2 in 2005, I don't understand how they made a game so bad at 3D platforming. I just want to thank whoever decided to produce this game for forever tainting my view of gingerbread cookies. Best game never."
Yeah, but gingerbread cookies kind of low tier, honestly. I don't mess with them.
Okay, well that's a take.
I just think that they aren't very good, and I'm not gonna build something out of them. That's ridiculous.
And finally, our very own Flumbus said, "I'd wager that collectively, we as the NGP community and production crew will have put more effort into discussing, researching, recording, and editing this podcast episode and its associated media than Data Design Interactive put into making the game."
That's facts, dude.
Really, I mean, that's true. My one fear is that someone will see that Ninjabread Man and Data Design Interactive spiked this week in search results.
All right.
And they will get together again
Capitalize
and put out a new Ninjabread game.
They would be the people to pay attention to that and actually do that. They're shameless.
Thank you for sending in your thoughts on the Retro Game of the Week. You can do that each and every week to ngppodcast@gmail.com or hop into our commentary channel on Discord. We'd love to include your thoughts as a part of our episode next week. For now, we're going to put aside Ninjabread Man, and we are going to randomly select for the next 7 days what game we're going to play from our Retro Master list. Randomizing now. We're going to be playing a video game for the Nintendo Entertainment System that was released in 1991.
I'm there.
I'll tell you something else, Nolan. This is a classic that spawned a series.
I'm there.
Honestly, it might not have been the
sign.
first. Was
Still,
it the
that's a good
first?
sign.
It's a part
series. That's good.
Yeah, it's a part of a series. And I will say that it is a sports game.
On the NES, not great.
And I will say that it's a game that I have fond memories of playing at relatives' house during the holidays. It was the first sports game licensed by both the National Football League and the National Football League Players Association, allowing the game to use both names and attributes of real NFL teams and real NFL players. For the next, 7 days, we're going to be playing the predecessor, I think, Tecmo Super Bowl.
I swear we've played this.
No.
Tecmo
I don't think we played any. Have we played any football game?
Ooh.
No, the closest we came was that like American Gladiator game where you had to run around and throw the thing in the thing.
The closest we came was
Tecmo
not close
Bowl.
at all.
I have a little experience with it too. I am kind of excited to revisit this. Actually, I don't have a lot of experience. It's one that, like I've said many times, I had that briefcase full of NES games. I put it in one time to check it out, right? And so I'm a little familiar with it.
This is a beloved classic.
Yeah,
but it is going to have some major aging issues. I remember playing against my cousins, and it's one of those games that if you've got the right team, you can just kind of go back with your quarterback and then just toss a Hail Mary and score 95% of the time. So it's one of those games.
Who's your team?
Seattle Patriots.
The Seattle Penguins.
I don't care about NFL teams.
Dallas Cowboys.
And then Nolan? Dallas Cowboys, the DCs.
That's
Dak
just to piss
Prescott. Let's go.
Hey, Dak
Find a
Prescott
copy.
is from our hometown.
I know. Find a copy of, not mine, find a copy of Tecmo Super Bowl and play it along with us this week.
Check out our Discord server where you can verbally berate the person that submitted this game to the Retro Master List. I don't know who it is.
Bullying.
I won't reveal who it is.
It.
But you can do some detective work. Go to discord.gg/newgameplus.
The guy's name rhymes with Lenny, so just figure it out.
He's never there anyways, don't worry.
We want to say thank you to those of you who support your favorite retro gaming podcast on patreon.com. Truly appreciate you, including our large list of producer-level supporters, Alex and Marley and Antonin, Ben, Craig, Dustin's 5 O'Clock Shadow, Garlisle, Guardian Kate, Hallex, Harold, Hey Brother, J. Robert, Jake, Joey, Jordan, Justin, Clint, Levi, Maxima, Megatroid, Miss Muso, Not Enough Dog, Retro Man, Sajin, Sasser, Scotty, Shane, Shauna, Snakematic, Psycho Mantis, Thomas, Tins, Turtle, Unbedavable, and Zion. Of course, a huge thank you to our director level supporters. If we are gingerbread men, you are our gumdrop buttons. Thank you to Bill R, Brojim, Super Hypered, and Siegfried. And we got some new patrons hopping on board this week. They were like, this is the game we're going to wait for. We didn't know if we loved the podcast until you did Ninjabread Man and joined the community. So thank you to Dagony, King Dingating, Josh Kirk, Heath Spicer, and Kenny Rules.
Wait.
We got a Kenny Rules.
They said those names to get Kenny to say them out loud.
Hey, is it Dingating or Dingaling? I mean, you would know, but I'm
more it's actually, I actually think it's a capital I, not an L or a
but
T.
But the Dingaling is the...
King Dinga-ing.
Probably an L, bro.
It's not an L.
You can find us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our episode artwork was created by Dave. Our video episode was created by Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play Tecmo Super Bowl. Until then, I'm a cupcake.
I'm also a cupcake.
I'm John Madden.
Kenny copies me in Terraria and in real life, and he won't leave me alone.
Rent free.
And this has been New Game Plus.